There's been singing and dancing, basically, in the figurative streets of Steelers Nation over the weekend. And I get that, but I also think some reality needs to be put back into the conversation. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Kenny Pickett, of course, was traded to the Eagles. Pickett wanted that. Pickett approached management about that. And from what I was told by a source inside the organization, he felt, rightly or wrongly, that management went back on its word that there'd be a competition between him and Russell Wilson, after which, meaning the following morning, he was told that Wilson would be QB1 heading into OTAs and then on into Latrobe. Now, I'm not going to turn this into yet another he said, she said. There's been plenty enough of that lately. But I am here today to kind of be at least a little bit of a wet blanket about some of the giddiness over Omar Khan and this recent wave of moves. But to start with the positives, Omar got himself Russell Wilson, a Super Bowl champion and a 9-time Pro Bowl selection, for the NFL veterans minimum wage of $1.25 million. Nobody could argue the value in that, even if you have, as I do, some concerns about two other teams paying him $1 gazillion to go away. Wilson's salary and Wilson's cap hit are a brilliant no-lose value for the Steelers. And you can say the same now for Justin Fields being added. Yeah, there's a discussion that has to be had regarding his fifth-year option, which would be $25 million, which means you better be sure. But you're bringing in, between these two quarterbacks, the one who has the highest pedigree of anybody since Ben Roethlisberger, and the one who has the highest potential of anyone since, well, it's been a while. That's good stuff from Omar. So is getting Patrick Queen. It's a little bit of a risk. He never had a season in Baltimore quite like the one he did in 2023 alongside Roquan Smith. There are going to be people, there are already people who are concerned about that, and rightly so. But 3 years and $41 million, he's 24 years old. The position is of such a significant, almost symbolic need at this stage, given how hollow it's been since Ryan Shazier's injury. It's a risk worth taking. I've liked a handful of Omar's other moves. Here's where I get a little bit queasy. I've been seeing, hearing, and reading a lot, including from a lot of you who offer feedback in this direction, that Omar's really broken the mold for how the Steelers are generally managed, that he's bucked their tradition, that he's doing things that Kevin Colbert never would have done. He's changing the culture. None of this is the case. Does Omar think differently than Colbert? Yes, he does. Has Omar been more active on a couple of fronts than Colbert would have been? Yes, he has. Trust me when I tell you that Colbert himself feels that way. And to pile on top of all that, we're talking about a fan base that has usually spent this portion of the NFL offseason watching the Browns load up and getting irritated by it. So when it's the Steelers who are making the headlines every single day, there's a rush that comes with that. That's human nature. In my job as a reporter, I'm no different. I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is nuts. I mean, we're putting together an article or a podcast or whatever every 5 minutes, it feels like. But I'm going to bring up what's really been the underpinning of all this. Through the entirety of Colbert's tenure, who was the highest paid player on the roster? Yeah, that's right. It was the franchise quarterback. You know, that thing that the Steelers currently don't have. And haven't had, by the way, since Ben retired, and haven't had since Omar's been GM. So he's functioning with, really, if you think about it, $20 million of extra cash. It's just like something he found in his left pocket. Oh, and guess what showed up in his right pocket? That's correct. It's the additional $30 million the NFL just raised the cap by for everybody. So now Omar's got $50 million that Colbert would never have had. Not in any circumstance. Now, to Omar's credit, he has still found a way, as one would expect given his background, to manage costs, to manage cap hits. Queen, for example, has had his contract structured in such a way that he'll only be a $6 million cap hit in 2024. That's really nice. That allows you to continue pursuing quality defensive pieces, and maybe even a quality offensive piece. The current standing of the Steelers' cap looks like it's in the $12 million range, but people in the building will tell you there's still a lot of restructuring that could happen if Omar wanted to make it happen. So, yeah, I like what he's done. I feel like the quarterback room, at least in theory, is stronger right now than it was 2 weeks ago. I feel like the cap is in relatively good shape. I'm still puzzled by the handling of Mason Rudolph, meaning all of the public pronouncements that they wanted him back and then to not even offer a contract proposal once before he signed with the Titans. That's still kind of strange. But let's say that Fields never shows up in Pittsburgh without it, and Fields becomes, for whatever reason, maybe just being out of Chicago, a star in Pittsburgh, then that'll have been worth it. It'll have been worth losing Rudolph to have Fields, a younger player, become a star. But I can say all that while also pumping the brakes on the let's celebrate Omar thing, or let's all hail the new Steelers way thing. It's just not that different. And a lot of it happened, remember, in ways that Omar wouldn't have wanted. Don't think for a split second that the Steelers wanted Pickett to go away. He was drafted for a reason. He was developed and thrown out there as a starter for a reason. And it wasn't until the reaction, the bad reaction, that Kenny had, that they felt forced to send him out. It's working out well, okay, but let's not make it all sound as if it's some sort of genius-level work of art. When we come back, J1Q. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George. LGKG is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents people hurt in car accidents or who need help with workers' comp or medical malpractice. When the attorneys at LGKG make you a promise, they keep it. They've been keeping promises in our region for over 80 years. LGKG's been AV rated, the highest rating a law firm can receive, and they've been designated super lawyers. That's actually a thing for over 15 years. It's a rare combination. LGKG has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them by visiting lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. LGKG. Today's J1Q, this is a terrific one too, comes from Neil, who asks, DK, on this Quarterback Monday, it kind of was Quarterback Monday, wasn't it? Didn't announce it as such, but now you've made it official all over again. Do the Steelers give Justin Fields the number 10 and play him like /2? He has the athleticism to be on the field in at least a package. For anybody who doesn't know Neil's references, doesn't go that far back, with this franchise, number 10 was Cordell Stewart's number, and Cordell, early in his NFL career, was used in multiple different settings, formations, positions, primarily as a slot wide receiver, and it occasionally worked and worked really well. But it has to be remembered that there are always sensitivities to this sort of thing. Quarterbacks don't like being told that they can't play quarterback. Kind of human nature. And in the same heartbeat, it can be stated that starting quarterbacks don't like being either yanked off the field for somebody taking alternating snaps. If you go back to the way, for example, that Lamar Jackson was utilized as a rookie in Baltimore, with Joe Flacco coming off the field, it's always a little bit weird. But there's also something to be said in this context for Russell Wilson being 35 years old and obviously not being as mobile as he was in his heyday in Seattle. And on the positive front, that Fields is bleeping amazing. Once the football's tucked, he's explosive. He might be as dangerous as any quarterback in the league in that specific area. And that'll be a tough thing to just leave standing there on the sideline. And I don't have any kind of meaningful answer for you here in terms of what the Steelers might be thinking or whatever. There's been zero contact, seemingly, between Arthur Smith and the outside world since he took this job. There was one interview that he gave with a team employee that was placed on the website, and that was the end of him as far as contact. But I feel pretty safe in speculating, looking forward to this summer, that you're going to see Smith challenged with the two quarterbacks that he has, not just the one. And not just getting them both prepared to run the same offense, but maybe sharing the field in some context. Isn't it amazing, seriously now, that so much has happened over the last 72 hours that a question like this, which would normally be so obvious and so common, after the acquisition of a prominent player, it even hit me like, whoa, hadn't thought of that. But that's going to be something that only everybody's talking about within a couple of months. Really, really good stuff. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.